Okay, so I'm trying to like do my best here to like. Okay, I almost shit myself today. I didn't know it was because people were putting weird stuff in my food. I was feeling nauseated and I wanted to puke for a while, and then I was like, this doesn't feel right. And then I almost shit myself. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, so this is a review on Harry Potter. From what I remember, because I read all the books, it was really light read. Easy, but the downside is that it's all in English. So if you don't speak English fluently, you'll have a hard time understanding what's going on. So, what happened is that I'm out of cigarettes. No. So, there's Harry Potter has 3 characters. It's Hermione, Harry, and Ron. So Ron's from a bad family, and Harry is actually Harry talks about his parents like as if he actually says those are his aunts and uncles. And I think he's psychotic. I think there's something wrong with the kid, but he's a wizard or whatever, or something like that. As in, like, yeah, he lied up. I think he made up the story about how his parents died and he had to live with his aunts and uncle's house, and like they made him live in a cupboard on the stairs. As in, like, they weren't like, I guess they weren't very socially acceptable, and he didn't really get along with them, and he didn't really like his family that much because he didn't have like much money as other people. But I think when they mentioned this, I still stand by the fact that it's a communist manifesto. But what actually happens was that Harry lives with his family. He has a brother named Dudley, and he doesn't like any of them. So he always calls them his aunt and uncle, and he says Dudley is his cousin, who's very chubby, and no one really likes him. And it's because, like, the way Harry responds is that he's very mean, and he actually gets under people's skin, and he takes advantage of people, but it's because he doesn't trust them. That's Harry's little thing. I don't know why he's like that, but that's why he was actually being paid for by Crumb's family, Victor Crumb, to go to school to Hogwarts. I don't know if they were trying to send him to Hogwarts. Apparently Sirius Black has something to do with why all 3 of them ended up in Hogwarts. Hermione was supposed to go to the Fleur School of Fleur or something. Harry was actually supposed to go to Victor Crumb's school. And I think Ron wasn't even supposed to be able to attend the institution. I don't know how they've got the money to. I think all of his family was chipping in on his education for him and his sister. So apparently they've been asking for donations and getting like working in the Muggle world and all that kind of stuff for a very long time, so that they can afford schooling for their kids. He comes from a very poor family, and his dad works for the government in a very low-end government level work. So he was able to get, like, he's eligible for loans, and he knows other people in his work and in his social life that were able to kind of help him out there. He's like, I think of his social class, he's actually the lowest social class. Hermione didn't want Ron's family to go there, neither did Draco. And Harry had no idea about any of it, but he's extremely prejudiced. So Harry doesn't like people who are poor or not affluential. But I think that's Crumb's family saying that's how you can tell if that guy's a wizard or not. I don't know what a wizard is. I was assuming that they were talking about racist people, but I think you can take it that way. But I think what they're actually trying to say was that he has a lot of not intelligence exactly. I think they're saying he has a lot of talent. He has talent and skills and abilities that if you teach him this, whether or not you teach him it or not, like, he's gonna end up finding it out on his own anyway. So that's kind of how they were keeping an eye on Harry. Hermione is actually Voldemort's kid. She was trying to hide that for a very long time. So being Voldemort's kid means that I don't know what happened. They're not very clear on the whole history behind it. All I know is from the books is that Snape actually screwed Voldemort over at one point, and it actually ended up being Voldemort's entire responsibility as to why a lot of bad things were occurring in the Wizarding world. Draco is a very dumb kid. He's very book smart. He's a bookworm, so he studies a lot, but he's very very dumb. And the entire story is that it's the trashy romance part is actually Hermione hooking up with Draco. She makes out with Draco all the time. I was getting this image in my head since I was a kid, but I didn't know it was that bad. So Hermione pretends to be just like Draco, which is kind of dumb and like blank-faced, right? The only kind of hint for that is that he hangs out with two guys who are really stupid. Like, they're overweight and they're stupid and they don't really respond to anything, and they just like they make stupid jokes all the time. And no one really wants to hang out on them because they're so dumb. But Draco calls them his cronies. I don't know if that's Draco words or if Harry's saying that, because a lot of kids are very wary of Harry. Like, it seems like he's not even aware. He thinks he's entitled to go to that school, and he actually... I think Hagrid was the one that pulled him out of that area from his family to go to school there, and he didn't tell him where the money was coming from, so he just said that it was from his parents. But that's... like, he didn't actually know who was supporting him. Victor actually ends up showing up much later when they have the whole grand ball, and it's actually shown... Hermione goes crazy after, because Victor ends up taking Hermione and Ginny's virginity. Hermione turns out to be exactly like her father. So her father is incredibly abusive, and people don't like him very much because of the way he treats other people, because of his attempt at keeping a social balance or whatever. And I think he trusts people a little too easily, whereas Hermione doesn't in the wrong context. But that's why she's going to school. But she thinks she's smarter. I don't think she's smarter than Draco. I think she lies and says she's a mudblood. Right? And I think that's her saying, like, my dad got in a lot of shit, and, like, I can't actually talk about my family, and that's the reason people hate me or something. Like, that's how she describes it. But it's because her dad is Voldemort, and he's associated with a lot of people that Harry doesn't like. Because they say they're Death Eaters, they're bad people. Right? And Harry's like, I don't like poor people, and I don't like bad people, and Death Eaters are bad people. He's really young, keep in mind. And so Victor Krum was the one, when they get older, who ends up taking Hermione out to the ball, but he actually... he ends up, like, he takes Ginny's virginity, which Hermione was trying to cover up for, and what she says to Ginny is that, she went crazy because he actually said that he's gonna marry Ginny after. She's like, I'm doing this because I really truly love you and care about you, and I'm gonna marry you. And what actually ends up happening is he takes her virginity and never calls her back or whatever, right? And then Victor Krum actually does the same thing to Hermione, but Hermione tells Ginny, you know, it's because he doesn't actually love you, and it was really obvious from the start. And honestly, like, I could have just told you that from the beginning. Right? So he thinks that things are going to be different with, like, no, she thinks that things are going to be different with Victor because she was already kind of talking to Victor at the same time she was talking to Ginny, and which is why he got Hermione to get involved to cover up for it, because he knew Ron Weasley's family, and that the fact that they're going to Hogwarts, and the fact that Harry was going to the same school, which his family was actively financially supporting his education because they could afford it. He's from a very wealthy family. The LaFleurs, also they're from wealthy backgrounds, so that's where Hermione was supposed to go. Sirius got all of them out of there and put Ron, Hermione, and Harry together just because I'm not really sure why. The only thing I realized that was because I realized Hermione was Voldemort's kid, and Voldemort is, like, they say it's a French version of Tom Riddle's name or whatever. That's kind of like them hinting at the fact that Hermione's actual school that she was supposed to go to was LaFleur, not Hogwarts. So she meets a lot of weird kids, I guess. The reason why Hermione keeps such a close eye on Harry, she's incredibly abusive to Harry. But the thing is, he's actually kind of an abusive person. He's not actually abusive, he just doesn't like them. So his language, it seems like he, like, hates them or something, because I think he doesn't understand that kind of stuff yet. Just early in the book. He never talks to his family as he gets older. It says at the later on the book that, what actually ends up happening is that Harry and Ginny get married, and Ron and Hermione get married, and I think Draco dies at one point. It's not actually like that. I think it's Hermione that ends up dying, or something. I'm not really sure. I haven't read the books in a while. So Hermione is like keeping an eye on Harry because he's a new kid, right? He's like, she doesn't actually know about any of his family. Nobody ever talks about his family. And by the time she figures out the aunts and uncles that he's talking about is actually, excuse me, his parents. So she was assuming that. Also, he said that Voldemort killed his mother and father. So, like, I don't know where he got that information from. Weird. Yeah, that part is never explained. It does not explain mysteries of the world. I'm trying to figure that out. But he accuses of her dad of killing him. I mean, killing his family, not him. And then he has a scar from it on his forehead. It's a, what's it called? It's a lightning bolt. And says that, oh, it's because, when my parents died, you know, Voldemort, he tried to kill me too. And that's why I have this scar on my forehead. Turns out that wasn't actually the case. I actually don't know how he got the scar on his head. But, I think somebody did try to kill, like, Harry, or get him to, like, lobotomize himself when he was a kid. I think he might have been his parents. That's why he was, like, angry at them, is that they were his aunts and uncles, because they hurt him when he was really, really young. Right? And I think it's because they didn't want him to get into the wizarding world because of how he's like. Right? But that was their mistake, which is why it ended up that way. They shouldn't have done that, I think. But I don't know actually how bad it got. I don't know how they're involved with the wizarding world. It says on later in the book, his aunt was actually very close with his mother at one point. And she actually knew a few people in the wizarding world herself, and his mom was still alive. I think that's kind of like his way of saying that, like, I don't think you're saying it right. Sorry, I keep like imagining myself with like horns, like ram horns. I don't know why. But yeah, I don't really trust this area. I'm kind of scared that some idiot might come by and like try to like smash my tent or something. Yeah, it's been on my mind for a while. And the fact that like it gets really weird at night, and I don't know where else I'm supposed to like go because I'm really feeling so low. I haven't eaten that good. But anyway, this is 13 minutes long already. Who knows? Okay. So what actually ends up happening is Harry is kind of a psycho. I don't know how it turned out that way. I think it has something to do with his mom, who was the reason why he said that he was never fed as a child, and like he hated his family and like the family that he had to live with, and like what happened was like they would like starve him and force him to work as a slave and stuff like that. I don't know what I don't know what he's referring to. That's the thing. I actually don't know what it is he's referring to. All I really know is that Harry actually ends up befriending Hermione. So Ron is never friends with them because nobody likes Ron's family. They never wanted him to go to school to begin with. And they were fine with them just being in the wizarding world, but they didn't want them to like be educated or work in government, which is what they kind of forced their kids to be in. So they put all of their kids through education so they could be qualified, and be at least have some sort of esteem, I suppose, to say that our kids aren't actually that bad, even though they are. They're the Mudbloods. If it wasn't obvious enough, he was trying to hide the fact that he works in the Muggle sector of Wizarding Muggle world, but his wife is, I think she's related to the Filches or something. Like, you know the family where they're actually wizards, but then like none of the kids have magic abilities. They kind of turn out like that. I think she was one of them. he ends up marrying her, never knew about it, and all their kids end up being very magically empowered or whatever. So they're, I think that's called a mudblood. Maybe it's just a half-blood. But I think technically it's a mudblood. They didn't want these kids involved with their kids, that's why. And then what actually ended up happening was that Hermione somehow knew about Harry because Harry was saying that his Voldemort killed his dad because he was a well-known name in the wizarding world. Because Hermione said that, okay, Voldemort killed my... Voldemort is actually her father. She's lying, saying she's the mudblood. Because she knew Harry was a... No, Ron's a mudblood. But Ron said his family's pure blood. And Harry said that his parents were actually wizards. When he was actually a mudblood too. So Ron and Harry are both mudbloods. Except Ron's from a really bad family and they have a really bad reputation, and they have a reputation for ruining things and getting their noses into things that they shouldn't be getting into, whereas Harry is just kind of a psycho, right? But this is kind of the implication with all mudbloods. They say every mudblood is kind of like this, so that's why they didn't want them, like, they can't actually exclude them, but they didn't want them with the wizarding community. So that's where Victor Crumb comes in and says, like, I know Harry gets like that, but so does Hermione. And Hermione knows that, right? She doesn't actually know this. She's not aware of this yet, because apparently it's because she's very young. Ron has a sister named Ginny who ends up going to school a little later. And Hermione and Ginny are only together because Hermione's trying to keep an eye on Ron's family because they're of ill repute. Right? Whereas Harry is kind of like Hermione, which is why they end up becoming friends. Right? I mean, they're both mudbloods. There's a lot more common between Ron and Harry, but actually Hermione and Harry have a lot more common personality-wise than Ron and Harry does, so they end up becoming fast friends. And Hermione's the one that, like, when Harry first meets Draco, Ron's the one that says, he's a bad guy, like, don't go near him. So it seems like Harry's standing up for Ron, saying, like, oh, like, you're a bad person, get out of here. But what actually ends up happening is because Draco is pure blood, and I think he heard about what Harry was saying about Voldemort, so he was the one that kind of tried to tell him, like, you know, it's actually, you might not get the whole story yet because you probably just got here because I heard that you're new here. I actually don't know who your family is or whatever. I never heard of you and you're mudblood or whatever. It's actually not Ron. I mean, it's not me that's bad, it's Ron that's bad, and I think it's because he kind of saw Hermione doing some weird stuff. That's why he came over to try to tell Harry that Ron Weasley's a bad person. Don't get so, like, involved with Hermione or whatever. Like, she's not actually trying to hurt you or whatever. And Harry's just like, no, you're the bad person, because he already was kind of friends with Hermione, and she's the one that was keeping an eye on Ron. And if he started being friends with Draco and Hermione, Ron would be left alone, and Hermione really didn't want that. Because his family, like, that's her kind of, like, being involved socially, right? So it's kind of like where she was getting all that from. Oh my god, I feel like I got devil horned on or something. It's so weird. But, like, yeah, Harry was, like, really, she was trying to be friends with Hermione, and I think he got the feeling that Draco kind of had a crush on Hermione, right? And then Hermione kind of tries to keep it a secret. They actually are the only ones who are actually with each other the entire time they're at school. I don't know where Victor Crumb comes in, and I don't remember what happens with Draco with his dates, and I remember Harry having a hard time finding a date for the ball. And I remember, what else? Ron asking everyone, and then ending up asking Hermione to take him, and she says no because she ends up going with Victor Crumb. And then she tries to make it look like she wanted to go to the ball with Ron when she didn't. And I guess, I think they end up going at the end of it because she didn't want him to feel bad or whatever. But it was her and Victor who actually ended up hooking up. But she went crazy because she didn't want to be with Draco because she thought he was dumb. Right? So she was kind of copying or mocking Draco. Turns out Draco wasn't that dumb. And he was the one kind of having a crush on Hermione, and she kind of ruined her own chances, which is why she went crazy. Yeah, Victor did the same thing he did to Ginny to Hermione as a way to kind of let her know, I'm gonna do the exact same thing I did to Ginny to you because you're actually of the same social circle now, because you keep hanging around this guy. Even though you saw yourself that everybody said no to Ron, and you still said yes to him, and you're still hanging around with Ginny, and you're kind of being a bitch to Ginny now, because you're kind of saying, hey, look, what'd you expect? Like, and then it's kind of insulting to Crumb at the same time, where he's like, what the fuck's your problem? Like, why are you trying to interfere? Or like, it's like, why aren't you standing up for me or whatever? And then you expect me to like you after? That's kind of weird. And then, that's kind of why, I forget who Harry goes to ball with. Like, I think he was trying to ask out Cho Chang. But he ends up asking out, like, there was like the Padma twins or something, or Patel twins or something. I forget. But there was a bunch of girls that he was actually interested in going out with. But they found dates really quickly, as the minute that they saw that these guys were looking for dates for the ball. Which is a bad sign. They're like, oh shit, you guys are looking for dates, fuck. So that's what ends up happening. What else? Oh, and also with Hermione's dad being Voldemort, which is who Harry's trying to kill the entire book, is because he believes that Voldemort killed his family. Which is, I think Voldemort put his family in destitution, so his Victor Crumb had to pay for him to go to school. Right? Because his family wasn't doing something right. Hence why Harry hates them, but he can't forgive Voldemort for putting him into financial destitution by association. But he doesn't know Hermione's dad is actually Voldemort because she lies to Harry and she believes what Hermione's telling him. So he's like, he thinks that Hermione is actually Mudblood and her parents are actually dentists. And she said that, what does she say? She says that, like, she's some weird shit, I forget, honestly. So she says something along the lines of, like, her parents are dentists, and then she, like, ends up forgetting these couple's memory or something. I think she went crazy, and she was attacking innocent muggles after Victor Crumb took her virginity, and she just couldn't stand seeing people happy together. They were such a good couple, they were happily married, and she's like, I fucking hate them. Oh my god, I can't believe it, like, it's never gonna happen with me, or whatever. That's how she feels, because she lost her virginity to Victor Crumb, and he didn't want anything to do with her after what he sought to do with Ginny, but she still wanted to be with him, and he didn't. Victor Crumb's a dude, and I don't know how she didn't say to us, like, anyway. I was just like, dude, he did the same shit to Ginny, and also he's paying for your friend to get an education, and you're trashing him. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. But, that's what she was doing, and at the end of it, I think the book was trying to imply that I'm just like Hermione. I'm not sure why. But, because I've been to England. I don't know how they even heard about me, but, like, I don't know, this is kind of freaking me out. But what I also wanted to mention was that, who actually ends up getting married is that, Draco's not marrying Hermione because she's not a virgin. That's their logo. Slytherin logo is that I'm not gonna marry you because you're not a virgin, and you're supposed to keep yourself chaste until you can find a suitable husband or wife. Right? Victor Crumb's not a virgin, but again, a person who's gonna marry Victor Crumb isn't gonna care about that kind of stuff, right? What else? They said Ron and Hermione get married. I don't think that actually ends up happening. And I'm beginning to suspect that Ron and Ron was sleeping with his sister or something. So I don't know who says Harry marries Ginny. Harry leaves like immediately the minute that he gets his diploma. And he went crazy after because he didn't pay Victor Crumb back for any of it. Because I don't know if he knew that's the thing. So I don't know, like he was already targeting Hermione's father, and she was actually the one who's befriending him and helping out. And even if he figured, like, he's the one that killed his father, I think. They said that it was Hip and 7 Horcruxes. She was the last one that he was supposed to kill. So I think Hermione actually ends up dying in the series. So he ends up killing Hermione, who was his only friend, and he goes crazy because he owes Victor Crumb money and he doesn't want to pay him back. So he has a useless diploma, basically. Essentially. Ginny never marries Harry because she's too busy sleeping with her brother because she went batshit insane. Okay, and that's how Victor Crumb was keeping Ron away from other women. Because her brothers were already kind of fucked. His brothers were already fucked. Right? And Ginny's already went crazy because nobody wants to be with her because she's not a virgin and she's crazy. Right? She went crazy after because she was expecting. She was like, I think she was entitled. She's like, you have to marry me now because we slept together. And then she was saying some fucked up bullshit. I think that's why he left. And I think she stole from it at one point because his family's incredibly wealthy. So she thought that it didn't matter. She's like, it's fine to steal because it doesn't matter. And I'm like, I don't think that's right. But that's what that was. Hermione does the same thing. That's the funny part. Even though that's Voldemort's kid, and she's actually like, I think they said he's a half-blood. Of the half. Oh, her dad went crazy. Just like she did. Just like Ginny did, except Ginny's from a different family. Who nobody wanted her there anyway, which was affecting her development, her and her social life. Because of her family. So she was supposed to leave her family from the beginning. She never does, and she ends up sleeping with her brother. And Ron ends up, I think, basically marrying his sister. Doing that. And what else ends up happening? Harry goes crazy and kills Hermione. But no one cares because Hermione already went batshit insane after Victor Crumb took her virginity. So that's what Sirius was trying to prevent. Because if they all went to different schools, they wouldn't have gone along. They would try to sabotage each other or something. So he was trying to get them to get along and be friends to begin with. But none of them really had good intentions to begin with, right? And so they were all trying to kill each other for some reason, except for Ron, who was just kind of a shitty guy. But yeah, that's why he ends up having sex with his sister. And what happened? Who's Sirius? They say Sirius is Harry's god uncle or something, and he knows Remus. Who ends up being a professor. Nobody teaches her for that long because of Harry. And what's again that woman what the pink suit woman was actually doing was actually what Hermione was doing, but they were kind of sabotaging each other in a way. Because Hermione was abusing Harry, and Harry was trying to get back at her by being annoying and like getting in her way. And like Draco actually saw that, I think, and that's why he stayed away from Hermione after what he saw Victor Crumb was doing. I think his family told him to stay away from them because they're not normal. But I don't know. And then Harry ends up freeing an elf who kills himself after because he's supposed to work for a master. So Dobby's supposed to always have a family to work for. Harry ends up freeing him. He didn't actually free him, so these are actually absolute crap. They need somebody to work for. That's the thing. But they're gonna take that as an excuse, saying, "Oh, you gave me a sock, so that means I can leave now." And then he leaves and he couldn't find somebody to work for and ends up dying. Right? And Harry doesn't want to take him in because he doesn't want elves for some reason. And Hermione was trying to tell Harry, you need to take Dobby in. And then she's like, yeah, we'll do petition for freedom of Dobby rights or elf rights or whatever. To like try to hint at Harry, like, you need to adopt this kid or take him in. Not adopt him, but like take him in and get him to be your servant. And he's like, I don't want Dobby to be my servant because he's a crappy elf. And she's like, there's other elves who need freedom. Do you want to free them? And she's like, and he says no because he didn't want Draco's family to have Dobby. That's what that was, and I don't know why that is. I think that's what he said, that he doesn't want Draco's family to have Dobby, but it was because Dobby was a crappy elf. And I think he just wanted to upset Hermione because she's still like Draco, and he was interfering with his family's social structure. So she was upset by that, and that's why she's like, if you want to do that, then you should be freeing all the elves. You know what? Fuck it. You free one elf, we free all the elves. And I guess she just want to admit that Harry didn't really care about her, but he just like wanted to get in her way because she was being a bitch to him. And she didn't want to admit that she was being a bitch because he was trying to kill her dad, because that was her dad. So he's like, that's my, and she didn't want to tell him who her dad was because her dad is the reason why he didn't have that much money and he needed Victor Krum to pay his way through school. If that makes sense. Excuse me. Yeah, that was it. Victor Krum didn't want any of that to happen. I was just actually thinking about what was going on around me currently. I think a bunch of people are trying to flex on me. It didn't work. They went crazy. But yeah, Draco's families didn't want Draco to lose his social status, so I don't know if I think he ends up marrying Cho Chang, actually. But it's never mentioned in any of the books. She's missing 2 books. Okay, she's supposed to finish it. J.K. Rowling actually ends up lying about what the characters are going through, and she tries to mention in the interview saying like, oh, it's because like Dumbledore is actually gay, and like I initially wrote it so like Harry and Hermione end up getting married, and I guess she doesn't want people to have a bad impression of what a marriage is. So just for the kids, like, yo, you know what? It's just Ron and Harry, because they're friends. Harry ends up marrying one of Ron's family members and becomes a family member that way because they're trying to like, include them into their family and stuff. And like Hermione ends up getting married to Ron, so they can always keep in contact with each other that way. She doesn't want to tell kids the truth, the reality, which is people just leave. Honestly, they're there to get a fucking degree and move on. They're there to learn something and move on. They're not really there to be friends with each other forever, especially if they don't like each other. Yeah, so Harry ends up killing Hermione. If Victor Krum leaves, what happens with Draco? He ends up marrying Cho Chang, I think. I think that's what got her in shit. She tried to make herself look like Victor Krum, like where Victor Krum's from. Like what his family's known for doing. What happens? Why? Etc. etc. Harry kills Voldemort and his kid, and because he has to, in order to kill Voldemort and get the Horcrux done and over with, because his family is now suffering financially because of their screw up with Voldemort, who didn't take no for an answer, right? I mean, who took no for an answer, rather. Sorry. Yeah, Voldemort didn't do something right, and Snape saw that and screwed him over the minute that he could. Ends up being a potion master. I think he knew Snape was better than Voldemort, or did one over Voldemort somehow, and then try to copy Snape that way to get an idea because they all knew each other, right? That's the first thing. They all knew each other, including Dumbledore. Dumbledore stays away from all of that because he's not actually the headmaster, it's Hagrid. Hagrid's a headmaster. He lives in a cabin away from all the schooling kids, but he's the one overseeing all the students. I don't know who Dumbledore is. I think he hires him as a potions master, so he's the head of the department of potions master. But he drags Snape into it to do his job for him while he's in the office doing paperwork for Hagrid. As in, they're trying to cover up the fact that Sirius interfered and got those three in the school. He bribed somebody. They don't say who. I have a feeling Cho Chang's family has something to do with that. And they continually hire different teachers every single year for the same subject course. Right? Gilderoy Lockhart ends up teaching Harry for a bit, and he ends up, like, not doing so well. So he ends up going crazy after a while, but I think it's because he wasn't being honest about his actual credentials. I don't know if that has anything to do with hinting Harry off about the fact that his money is actually being paid for by somebody else. So someone else paid for his school. Not his parents' family's secret money fund that they save specifically for Harry. They're not like that. But yeah, that's what happens with Snape. Why did Snape want Voldemort gone? Because he fucked up. That's it. He didn't want people around him who were making mistakes because he was gonna interfere with his life and his career. Who's Hermione's mom? I have no idea. They never actually mentioned, they said Bellatrix Lestrange was the only person close to Voldemort who was related to Sirius, I think. No, who was related to, Draco. Draco said that's his aunt. And, are they related? Hermione and Draco? Huh. Who's Draco's? Draco has a father, and he said his mother is different. I don't think that's his aunt. I think that's Harry's mom. Or, like, is that Harry's mom? Oh my god, it's getting kind of confusing. Okay, so is it, like, Harry's father? He has a stepbrother, Dudley. And his mom that's his dad, but that's not his mom. So his mom is actually Bellatrix Lestrange, who is related to the Draco family. They're not. I think, Bellatrix was somebody's concubine. Somebody was hating Bellatrix. I mean, they were, like, getting it in with Bellatrix. I think it was Sirius. Sirius was sleeping with Bellatrix. Bellatrix is actually Harry's mom, but Harry doesn't know. He thinks his parents died. That's his actual dad that he's living with, and that's his stepmom, and he lives with his stepbrother. That's how he's a half-blood. Okay, then. I guess his dad and his mom got divorced, and he didn't want anything. They never got divorced. What is going on there? I don't want to know. Basically, what ends up happening, I don't think that's his. I don't know who Bellatrix Lestrange is. Hermione and Draco are not related, but I don't know who Hermione's mom is. Since Voldemort is her dad, and Bellatrix Lestrange is Draco's aunt, which makes Harry related to Draco in some way. And thus, there was a... Is it McGonagall? No, I have a feeling Cho Chang and Hermione are related. But I don't know... I don't even know if that's true. I don't know who her mom is. All I know is Hermione's dad is Voldemort. And I don't know if she knows who her mom is. She must. She ends up getting a time turner just so she can attend all her courses. And I don't know what that means. Like, she's really good in school and she's busy all the time. So in order to fit in time for other stuff, they grant her access to this specific thing. I have no idea. Look, Honestly, I don't know who her mom is. I don't know what does Luna Lovegood have anything to do with anything? Oh, I think it was Luna. Yeah, she was the one who was rooting Plum and Hermione's relationship. Oh, Victor just fucked that one up, but like, it was supposed to be fucked up anyway. That's him kind of keeping it in the family for the Weasleys. And Luna was the one interfering with Hermione and Draco's relationship, who were actually not supposed to get married, but Harry ends up killing Hermione and her dad. But she ends up actually doing the right thing, because if Draco married Hermione, then Harry would have killed all three of them, and it would save them a lot more grief, I guess. I have no idea. Like, all I know is that she was really jealous of Hermione. And I think it has to do something to do with her mom and Hermione's mom. I don't know. I don't know who Luna's mother is never mentioned either. Her dad tells her that her mom died when she was really young. And also Hermione doesn't know who her mother is. She said that they do the same thing. Like her dad and her mom. And there should be another Death Eater or something. Or somebody who's taught at the school. Oh my god, don't tell me that's her mom. That weird woman in the pink suit, who Harry said was abusing him. Harry was lying about that. So Harry ends up. Is that her mom? I don't know. I think she's lying about something, Hermione. Her parents aren't mudbloods, but Voldemort is her father. I don't know who her mother is. And the only thing that I remember is that she has really curly hair. Voldemort's appearance is never discussed. They said he was really good looking when he was younger. And then Hermione only is good when she actually does all her, like, gets done up. So, I don't know if Hagrid has anything to do with it. Nymphadora is her mom. Nymphadora Tonks. The one who's dating Remus Lupin. I don't think they're dating. Yeah, Nymphadora Tonks is her mom, and Voldemort's her dad. She never meets her mom the entire series. I don't know how she was raised. Super weird. But that's Harry Potter. Why didn't they kill Harry? That's what I was wondering. Why did Victor Crumb pay for Harry's education? Because he owed Voldemort money. No. Voldemort owed the Crumb family money. He never ends up paying them back. So Crumb actually ends up paying for his kid to be able to go to school with some friends. But none of them pay the Crumb family back. It doesn't matter to the Crumbs because they are incredibly wealthy. And they go to different schools. But Victor Crumb ends up actually making an appearance and seeing how things are going. So what is that? Oh my god. He's covering up for Hagrid, the schoolmaster. I don't know what Hagrid got into, but I don't think... Oh, Hagrid was the one who was targeting Tom Riddle when he was a younger kid because he was calling him a piece of shit. He gave Tom Riddle a hard time while he was attending Hogwarts, which ended up him resenting and hating his life at Hogwarts. No, Voldemort actually got in shit, didn't he? I think Hagrid has something to do with it. If he didn't treat Tom that way, then he wouldn't have done those things. Is what Tom Riddle's saying, which is why Hagrid didn't like him and said he's a sack of shit because he always blames it on other people. Turns out Hagrid was right, but Voldemort was gonna use it as an excuse to do something, to which Snape kind of heard about it and saw what he was doing, and the minute that he screwed up, he actually ends up screwing Voldemort over, which ends up with, before that, he makes a mistake with, Harry's family makes a mistake, as in Lestrange and his dad, or his mom and his dad do some fucked up shit. Voldemort cuts him out. Turns out Voldemort owed the schoolmaster money, so Trump family gets involved to have the same thing done to his kid as he went through when he was in school, because Dumbledore claims that he favored Harry. I don't think that was right. I think he was telling others to stay away from Harry, because there's something wrong with that kid. And Trump didn't want Harry to, like, he would have ended up with him in isolation. And he would have ended up doing some weird stuff or whatever, so he kind of sees what's going on there. It's never actually mentioned, but I know that's what's going on, kind of thing, if that makes sense. I don't actually know that's what's going on. This is what's implied in the book. It's implied that Ginny loses her virginity to Victor Krum, which ends up being crazy. Nobody wants to marry her. Ron's a sack of shit anyway, so he's gonna have sex with his sister because nobody else wants to be with him, which is already outlined in the beginning when they start looking for dates at the ball, right? And then Harry, his only life goal is to kill Voldemort, the one that put his family in financial destitution and couldn't get them to be financially wealthy again. And tries to kill Voldemort! And he ends up succeeding and killing his daughter too, which was the 7th Horcrux. I don't know what the fuck that means. But then Harry ends up going crazy. I don't know if he ends up dying in the series. I think he tries to flee, and he sees, and Cho Chang ends up trying to become like Victor Krum's family, Cho Chang's family. Turns out, Draco's family isn't actually like that, but Draco ends up marrying Cho Chang. Draco and Cho Chang end up getting married. Hermione's dead. Ron's having sex with his sister. It's a shit show. Victor Krum leaves. I don't know who he actually ends up marrying. Turns out Nymphadora Tonks is her mom. And I don't know what happens. I think Nymphadora Tonks dies too, along with Remus Lupin and one of the Weasley twins. Oh, he was having sex with Nymphadora. To which Remus was the one that killed the other twin, but that other twin was the one having sex with Nymphadora Tonks, to which Remus had a crush on. Remus is socially inept, but he really likes Nymphadora Tonks. Nymphadora Tonks is already technically still married to Tom Riddle prior to his death. And then she's actually having sex with one of the Weasley twins, who just graduated and started their own business. So I think she might have been a bit of a gold digger. Yeah, I think she was a gold digger. I think that's why she was like that. This is why their parents didn't end up being together, because Voldemort didn't really care about that kind of stuff, but the only reason she was with him was because of his social status. When he started losing his social status, that's when she left him. So he lost his social status when he made a mistake somewhere, and it has something to do with the Hogwarts school in which Hagrid is headmaster. But he made a mistake when I think he was supposed to... I don't know who's paying for Voldemort's schooling. But in either case, I think it's assumed that Dumbledore was the one paying for Hagrid No, Dumbledore was the one paying for Tom Riddle to go to school. But Hagrid absolutely despised Tom because of what he was like as a person, regardless of his academic abilities. And then blah blah blah. Harry's family gets knocked down a notch because of the fact that they fucked up, and Tom made sure of that. But he also makes a mistake with the headmaster, to which Snape saw. He was planning on teaching at the school for a long time, so he screwed Tom over just so he can get a teaching degree there. I mean, so he can still continue to teach there. He didn't have anything to do with why Harry didn't do that well in school, or why Krum had anything to do with that, but he wasn't actually stopping any of that kind of stuff from happening. I think he was supposed to. Oh, this has gone for 15 minutes now. But yeah, that's Harry Potter in a nutshell. With Bellatrix Lestrange being Harry's mom, I think he just didn't know about it. He just assumed his parents died, but, well, he was actually living with his dad at the time. And, that was his stepmom. And his stepbrother. And, Hermione ends up dying because Harry's trying to kill everyone. And you can tell by the fact that Harry is... this is a fictional book. This is a communist manifesto in a nutshell. Okay, this is what communism is. They're trying to convince people to be communist. How? By saying this stuff is realistic and applicable and it doesn't have to change anything. And what Tom Riddle did was bad and Hagrid had a point. To which he didn't. Hagrid was being prejudiced against Tom Riddle because he wasn't pureblood. And he made his own group of friends, to which Hagrid was against because he says there's something wrong with Tom Riddle. He keeps on making excuses saying somebody else is doing that. When he makes mistakes. Right? And he actually ends up being right about that, but I don't know if Hagrid had anything to do. I don't think Hagrid had anything to do with that. He was just wary of Tom Riddle because he's had a lot of students in that school and he saw what he was like. And then he knew something, and then Sirius has something to do with that, so that Harry ends up going to the same school as them, because he didn't want Harry to turn out like his dad did. Or, not his dad. Harry actually never has anything to do with his parents. Except for Bellatrix Lestrange, to which Sirius didn't want Harry to be involved with. So I think he put them together because he knew that that kind of stuff would happen. Or something. I don't know. I think his intention was to make sure that Hermione can go to school with some friends and other kids would be involved in her life. Why did he go to prison? He said he was falsely convicted, but I think it was because he was accused of child molestation and sexual harassment charges against Bellatrix Lestrange. Maybe that was a way to get back at Bella. To say, like, you're gonna have to be counter your kid at one point. You can't even tell him that you're his mom. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird! They're weirdos. I have no idea where they got all this information from. I just think that there's something wrong with what they're doing, and I don't know why they're getting involved. Crum's family is the only person who actually ends up maintaining their social status, while everyone else's social status is ruined. I don't know if it's wrong, but it's actually kind of like, that's what actually doesn't, that's not really what ends up happening, but you can make it happen that way. Thus communism. Yeah. Like, as if it was moral and ethical to have it in this way. That's what they were trying to say. It wasn't. But yeah. I just don't believe them. I don't believe anything they're saying. I don't know why Harry killed Hermione and her father. I don't know why Bellatrix Lestrange never told Hermione that she was her mother. And I don't know why Sirius was so madly in love with Bellatrix to the point where he wanted to ruin her daughter's life for rejecting him. But I'm wondering if it has anything to do with Tom Riddle. If they were ever, like, rivals, or they didn't like each other at one point. or if he just doesn't want Tom Riddle to be involved in his life and he just wanted to be with Bella. But Tom and Bella were really close friends anyway. Well, he was making fun of Bellatrix. Oh, he was taking advantage of Bellatrix, and Sirius didn't like that, because Sirius really had a crush on Bella. But Bellatrix didn't like Sirius that way, and they ended up having a baby, and he felt hurt because Bellatrix rejected him, and said that, oh, what's it called? Yeah, that's what she was like, oh, I don't want to be with you, and he's like, you know he's taking advantage of you, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, I don't care. And he felt miffed, like, he felt like he got stiffed out of, like, a good way. That's why they're calling him a dog. I don't think that's how he actually felt. I think he actually liked Bellatrix Lestrange. They actually never ended up meeting. He ends up going to prison for rape and harassment because she doesn't like Sirius that way, or anyway, it turns out. But he was right about Bellatrix being abused by Tom Riddle, who she has feelings for, who she ends up having a kid with, which is Harry, which is why he's kind of psycho. But I think that makes him pure blood, right? Yeah, it makes Harry pure blood, but one of his dad is half blood, Tom Riddle. His mom's pure blood, and they're somewhat associated with the Malfoy family, to which, oddly enough, Hermione's super into Draco. She claims, I don't think so, I think she just wanted to fling at school while she has an excuse to say no to all the guys and say, like, yeah, I'm gonna go date Draco now, because, like, none of you want to be near him or whatever. And then, she has, like, another man, I guess, named, oh yeah, Victor Crumb, who she's actually actively trying to marry. Yeah, it was Victor Crumb that she wanted to get married to. So she was the one, I don't think she knew about Victor Crumb's family paying for Harry's education. Which is what kind of set him off. Which was why he was a little wary. It's like, why don't you care about the fact that I'm paying for Harry to go to school? And you friends with this guy and you're not concerned about where he's getting his money? It's kind of weird. Yeah, so that was kind of what she was doing. And then she goes crazy after, she kind of, like, owes Victor. And she ends up getting killed, and so is everyone else that was like that. Oh, excuse me, sorry. It's a stupid read. Absolutely garbage. But, like any other trashy romance novels, it's just a tale of heartbreak and togetherness, and Harry actually I don't know if he finds anyone. But at least Draco gets married to Cho Chang, the hottest chick in the school, because he kept himself chaste and kept true to his character the entire time. His reward is getting a knockoff bitch. Not exactly Victor Crumb's sister, but close enough. And Hermione and her dad dies because they did something to maintain people's social status and prevent them from losing more money. This is bad. And Ron, he's a shitty family, so she should just marry his sister anyway. Fuck that guy. And Victor Crumb, who actually caused a lot of those problems, although is the one that maintains the wealth, their family, because they helped Harry go to school. You know, without them, Harry would have never been able to afford education at Hogwarts, which Hagrid actually doesn't mention, so he would have been willing to put in a scholarship or, like, have Dumbledore pay for it, like he paid for his dad's education. But Victor Crumb's family got actively involved to save people money so that he can kill everyone and it's okay, that's a good thing. Or something, I don't know, it's insane. I think... I don't know. Anyway, I don't remember any more of it. Gryffindor Tonks. They actually end up meeting their parents, but they don't know. Nobody ever figures that out. Luna Lovegood actually ends up dying. She gets whacked off, but it's because she's a jealous bitch. And I think she was jealous because Nymphadora Tonks was Hermione's mom. And she thought Nymphadora Tonks was cool, and she wanted Nymphadora to be her mom. She's like, I wish she was my mom. Why is she your mom? I don't actually know who her mom is. It's Bellatrix Lestrange, that's her mom. Oh my god. That's so weird. Did she have sex with one of the Malfoys? Is that why? No, I don't think so. I don't know who her dad is. Luna says she lives with her dad, but Bellatrix Lestrange, Harry, that's his half-sister. Don't tell me she had sex with Voldemort. Oh my god, don't tell me they're actually half-sisters. Okay, so Bellatrix Lestrange and Voldemort had a kid named Luna, and then Voldemort had a kid with another woman named Nymphadora Tonks named Hermione. Ew. What a fucking pig! What else? Draco ends up marrying Cho Chang, and the Pavarti twins, or the Patel twins, or Patel twins, I don't know, the Indian girls are twins. They are, I don't know if they end up getting married. Oh, Nymphadora had something to do with that. The Weasleys were trying to get them married, their twins married off to the Pavarti twins when they got out of school. To which Nymphadora was like, I still got it. Which is the only reason why she did that. But it's actually helping her. This is why it's communist, because it's like, you're convincing people, you're trying to convince people that it actually ends up helping everyone out when you're actively, like, accusing people of doing things that they didn't do and hurting people who are doing the right things. And your reward for doing the moral and ethical thing is death, despair, mayhem, and absolute tragedy. Very un-Shakespearean. But I don't know, it sold a lot of copies. People loved it. So weird. I made so many movies and like little trinkets, and you know what? In the USA, they even have theme parks dedicated to Harry Potter. You buy those like wizard things and like those broomsticks or whatever, and like I don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's just like sticks and straws, and you get high on it. Oh my god. What? Is it the Vietnamese who wrote this book? What is that? But, yeah, that's Harry Potter. Ooh, magical. I don't know how, it's so trash. It's not even trash, it's just absolute shit. It's fucking shit. It's shit. It's just shit. It's so shitty. Who would like this crap? It wasn't one. It's everyone was in on it. If you didn't know what Harry Potter was, you were not gonna have any friends. And I'm just like, what the fuck, man? I read it and I was like, I don't get this. Why would anybody like this? I try to ignore most parts of it. It was really raunchy and disgusting. I mean, you know, compared to Pride and Prejudice, like Pride and Prejudice looks classy compared to Harry Potter series. You know, Jane Eyre, it's so interesting compared to Harry Potter. Like, it's just... Jane Eyre seems like it was written by a genius compared to Harry Potter. I'm just like, who would write this? Also, other than that, I mean, I feel like she's hating on foster kids and adopting processes and adopting parents, and she's just like, the J.K. Rowling, the author, she has problems. I just assume she's a crackhead, because this is what crackheads say all the time. Was she selling crack from that book or something? I don't fucking know. That book is insane, okay? And I don't know why anybody would try to push it onto their kids, unless they were also insane. Which is what the foster family was like. So it makes sense for them to do that, but I'm not insane. I'm just like, I don't like it. What the fuck?